Good evening and welcome to the August 14th, 2018 meeting of the Ashland Zoning Board of Appeals. First order of business, I guess, is to call the meeting to order. And next would be to ask if there is anyone, we are being broadcast live and on tape by WACA, whether there is anyone else who is recording the meeting either via video or by audio means. Please raise your hand at this time. There being no one raising their hand, we can move on to the next item. We have four items on the agenda this evening. First would be approval of minutes of our July 10th, 2018 and July 24th, 2018 meetings. Third item would be the continued hearing on the 400 Cedar Street application for special permit, which was opened on July 24th, 2018. And the final item on the agenda is staff updates and administrative matters. Going back to the approval of the minutes, why don't we start with the minutes of our July 10th, 2018 meeting. Josh had sent drafts of those out to us earlier this week. I had suggested 4 very minor grammatical changes. On line 22, I suggested it should be replied to an open meeting law. On line 29, I suggested we delete the word out. On line 52, I suggested we delete the word out. And on line 74, I suggested the word should most properly be board apostrophe S, as it was the possessive. And those were the only changes I had. Anyone else with proposed changes for those minutes? Any objections to the changes I proposed?
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Very good. Next item would be, excuse me, the minutes of our July 24th, 2018 meeting. Again, those were, the draft set was sent out to us by Josh earlier this week. The only proposed change I had was on line 121, and again, just a grammatical matter, I suggested the word should be opened and not open, and that was the only change I had suggested. Any other changes from people?
I have one. On line 199, Mr. Chase stated that there were no updates instead of just add there before were.
Oh, absolutely.
You catch it when you read it. Yeah.
I missed that one.
I know it's tough. I glossed over that one.
There you go. Any other suggested changes?
It's just that Josh changed, there was a correction on the date. He had it on August 12th, but he changed it to August 15th. Right, we'll go there.
On
194.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it is changed to August. Okay. Any other changes? If not, entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Very good. Moving on to the third item, the continued hearing on the application for special permit for 400 Cedar Street. I will read the notice that was published once again. Spint Spectrum Realty Company LP applicant has applied for a special permit under Chapter 282, Section 3.3, in any other applicable section of the zoning bylaws to extend a pre-existing and non-conforming use by installing 3 new antennas, 6 remote radio heads, 3 hybrid cables, and 1 cabinet on the town-owned Cedar Street water tower. The nonconformity is triggered by the need to mount the wireless equipment within 300 feet of a residential building in a residential zoning district. The property, map 29, lot 132, is located at 400 Cedar Street in the Residential A zoning district. A public hearing will be held on July 24th, 2018 at 7:20 p.m. in the Board of Selectmen's room located at Ashland Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Massachusetts. We opened the hearing, by way of just background, we opened the hearing at our last meeting on July 24th. We took testimony and evidence from the applicant. We opened the matter for public comment and received public comment from members of the public who were present, and we entered deliberations, and at the conclusion of deliberations, we asked Josh Chase to draft a decision in accordance with the deliberations that we had undergone, that had taken place, and the discussions that we had had that evening. One thing I did want to just briefly address is that at the meeting, one of the members of the public had asked a question concerning the Spectrum Act and whether or not the board was restricted by that act. I indicated at the time we had received an opinion of town council. There was some ambiguity, a question about the response we had received from town council, and I indicated that we would confer with council and get clarification. I did that, and the clarification was that if the applicant was a cell company wanting to lease space on a town-owned property, the town would then be acting in a proprietary capacity. However, because we are, as a board, are acting on an application to upgrade a pre-existing facility and therefore acting in a regulatory capacity, section 6409 parenthesis A applies, and we are compelled to grant the application. That's the opinion that we received from town council. The draft decision that we had requested Josh work on was sent to us earlier this week. I am informed that it's been reviewed by town council, is that correct? Yes. Who has made certain suggestions and reviewed the form and findings to make sure that we are complying with the requirements of the law. I had made 2 very minor suggested changes. The first would be on page 3, line 2. I suggested it should read, "Notice was published," and not "Notice ran" in the Metro West Daily News. And also on page 3, paragraph 5, there's an erroneous date indicating that the hearing had been continued to August 12th, when in fact it was continued to this evening, August 14th, and that date appears in 2 separate spots in that sentence. Those were the only proposed changes I had in the draft decision. However, I think it behooves us to perhaps just review the decision for the benefit of the public that is here and whoever may be watching on TV, and also with the applicant. the draft decision that we will be voting on later this evening, the board grants Centerline Communications LLC as the agent for Sprint Spectrum Realty LP, assess special permit to extend the pre-existing non-conforming use of a wireless communications facility at 400 Cedar Street, subject to the following conditions. Actually, before I get that, did anyone have any problems with the conditions that were attached to the draft decision? Any changes that you wish to have made? If not, then I will continue to read them.
Would I have a copy to read aloud to them?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's quite all right.
Can I have?
Yeah,
You know?
hopefully nobody else will want one.
Yeah.
Let's go.
A, the applicant shall comply with any and all other relevant bylaws. B, the applicant shall comply with any requirements of the building department and the Department of Public Works. C, the applicant shall supply the planning department and the building department with a construction schedule, including a contact for the on-site construction supervisor before any building permits are granted. D, hours of work shall be limited to between the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. E, the applicant shall comply with Chapter 204 of the Ashland bylaws. F, the applicant shall be responsible for any needed police details from this proposed work. G, the applicant shall make good effort to reduce noise and other impacts to the surrounding neighborhood during construction. H, the applicant shall submit to the planning department an annual certification by a certified technician that the radio frequency emissions meet federal standards. I, the applicant has offered and the board accepts that the applicant shall provide a cell on wheels during the time period the town undertakes to paint and repair the water tank. The applicant shall remove its equipment and pay for and place the cell on wheels at no cost to the town. And finally, J, this approval shall be recorded at the South Middlesex Registry of Deeds. The special permit approval shall not take effect until a copy of this approval bearing the certification of the town clerk that 20 days have elapsed after the approval has been filed with the town clerk's office, that no appeal taken, or that if such appeal has been filed, that it has been dismissed or denied and the appeal is recorded. And a copy of the recorded document bearing the date of recording and the book and page number shall be delivered to both the planning department and the building department before any building permits are issued. And those are the conditions that are attached to the granting of the special permit. Any discussion? If not, I think it's appropriate that we vote, as we had noted in the meeting of the on July 24th, Stuart Siegel, a member of the ZBA who originally was sitting on this hearing, had indicated that he would not be present this evening, and our associate member, Samitri Chaudhuri,
Chaudhry, yep.
sorry, thank you, is stepping in and will act as one of the three voting members of the board. So I guess we need a motion to approve the special permit with the conditions attached to the draft decision. Would that be the next order?
Yes.
Okay. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I believe we do have to do the formality of stating our names and that we approve.
Yes.
Okay. I, John Trefethan, approve the grant of the special permit with the conditions attached as so noted in the motion.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote to approve the application as submitted with the conditions.
I, Smriti Chaudhry, also approve the special permit with conditions, stated conditions.
And then we're all set?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much. That concludes the special hearing. And now on to the final item on the agenda, which is the, yes, sir.
Thank you. Can I get that comment that you got from your town attorney, because it's part of the record now, so I get a copy of that, is that on the website?
The original,
Letter.
that was on the,
What I read from was an internal memorandum. It wasn't a letter from the
Yeah.
attorney.
Okay.
the original letter from the attorney, which was on July 20th, is.
I
Is
do
on
have
the
that one,
website.
right, but I was
Yeah.
just asking
This was
about
just a
specific
clarification,
clarification.
but not from the attorney. It was an internal communication between Mr. Chase and myself.
Okay, and I'll be in touch about the decision when it's filed and all that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you
Thank you.
again, appreciate it.
As indicated, the staff announcements and updates. There has been, typically, there is not much to announce, but tonight we do have a significant announcement to make. This week, Josh Chase, the Assistant Town Planner, who works with the Zoning Board of Appeals and has done so for better part of 2 years, I think.
Yep.
Has informed us that he will be leaving the town of Ashland employment-wise next week to move on to bigger and better things as the town planner for the town of Westford. So he will be moving further north, but staying within Middlesex County.
Yep.
So I want to thank Josh on behalf of everyone here, but for all of his work and efforts on our behalf in getting us to where we get to at these hearings. I'd also personally like to thank you. You've been a big help to me in guiding me through my first year as being chairman, which has not always gone as smoothly as perhaps I would have liked, but from my perspective and for my fault. But thank you for keeping us on track, and we wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Best of luck.
I am informed that until there is a replacement in place for Joss, that Sheila Page, the town planner, is going to step in and fill the administrative side of things for us, and hopefully that will make the town hire a replacement sooner rather than later, so Sheila's not overburdened with that, but we're not going to be left adrift. Are there any other announcements, or?
No.
Okay.
As of right now, we don't have anything on the agenda for next time. Obviously, if that changes, I will let you all know.
I don't think any of us would be disappointed if we don't have a meeting the week before Labor Day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else from anyone?
Motion to close the meeting.
Yes, I would second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.